Hello everyone, I'm Sebastian Y and this is Foundations of Economics. In this video we're going to be talking about the cross-price elasticity of demand and the income elasticity of demand. In the last video we talked about the general definition of elasticity and then applied that to the own price elasticity of demand. We're going to do the same thing here with these other two elasticities. When we talked about the own price elasticity of demand, we were talking about the price sensitivity of the quantity demanded to changes in the good's own price. The cross-price elasticity of demand measures the price sensitivity to changes in the price of a different good. We will use two generic goods, X and Y, and again, these could be anything. Mathematically, we define the cross-price elasticity of demand as the percent change in the quantity of good X demanded divided by the percent change in the price of Y. This looks very similar to the own price elasticity, except we are looking at the price of Y instead of the price of X itself. Since we're looking at the relationship between the quantity demanded of one good with respect to a change in the price of a different good, the law of demand no longer applies here. Recall that goods can either be substitutes or complements. The cross-price elasticity of demand will inform us of that. If the price of Y and the quantity demanded of X move in the same direction, they're either going to be both positive or both negative. Either way, that's going to give us a positive cross-price elasticity of demand. When this happens, we have substitutes. For example, if the price of Pepsi goes up, then the quantity demanded of Coke will also go up as people switch over from Pepsi over to Coke. Likewise, if the price of Pepsi were to go down, the quantity demanded of Coke would also go down because people would then switch from Coke over to Pepsi. Either way, we have a positive cross-price elasticity for substitutes. Let's do a concrete example with some numbers. Suppose the price of beer increases by 10%, which increases the quantity demanded of wine by 5%. To calculate the cross-price elasticity, we have a positive 5% change in quantity divided by a 10% change in price of the other good, that's beer this time, equals positive 1/2, which tells us that they are substitutes. The other possibility here is that the price of Y and the quantity demanded of X move in opposite directions. So if we have a positive price change in good Y, then we have a negative quantity demanded change for good X. Or the opposite, we have a negative price change and a positive quantity change. Either way, a negative times a positive is always going to be a negative. So this is going to be less than 0. This tells us that the goods are complements. For example, let's suppose the price of limes increases by 15%, which decreases the quantity demanded of tequila by 5%. Putting that into the equation, we have an increase in the price of limes of 15%, and for tequila we have a quantity demanded change of negative 5%. So that's going to come out to a cross-price elasticity of negative 1/3. Since this is less than 0, we know those are complements. Our next topic is the income elasticity of demand. This tells us the responsiveness of the quantity demanded to changes in consumer income. We often use the variable M to represent income. Mathematically, we define the income elasticity of demand for good X as the percent change in the quantity demanded of good X divided by the percent change in income. Once we divide this out, this is going to tell us what is the percent change in quantity demanded resulting from a 1% change in income. Just like with cross-price elasticity, we do not know if this is going to be positive or negative. For some goods, an income increase is going to increase quantity demanded, but for others it might decrease it. If an income increase results in a quantity demanded increase, alternatively, an income decrease results in a quantity demanded decrease, this is going to give us a positive income elasticity, and this tells us we have a normal good. For example, suppose that income increases by 5%, which leads to a 10% increase in the quantity demanded of steak. What would the income elasticity be? We take that 5% change in income, that's a positive 5%, and we had a positive 10% change in the quantity demanded. That's going to give us an income elasticity of 2, which is positive, so we have a normal good. The other possibility is that income and quantity demanded move in opposite directions, so an increase in income will result in a decrease in quantity demanded, or a decrease in income will result in an increase in quantity demanded. This means that the income elasticity is negative, or less than 0. This tells us we have an inferior good. Again, this does not mean inferior as in bad, it just means people consume more of it when their income goes down. For example, suppose that we have a 6% increase in income, which leads to a 9% decrease in the quantity demanded of ramen noodles. We'll put the 6% increase for the income and a negative 9% change for the quantity demanded. This is going to give us an income elasticity of negative 1.5, which is less than 0, it's negative, so we have an inferior good. Note that in the last video, we talked about elastic, inelastic, and unit elastic for the own price elasticity of demand, where the number we were comparing to was 1 instead of 0. We don't have to worry about positive or negative for the own price elasticity because we know it's going to be negative according to the law of demand. We can also talk about whether things are inelastic or elastic for the income and cross-price elasticities, but for these, because we don't know whether it's positive or negative, that's the more interesting thing to think about. In the next video, we're going to move on to supply.